Most people are completely blind to the invisible force destroying their relationships right now. You think you're being kind, generous, and supportive, but according to Machiavelli's most dangerous observation, those exact behaviors are why people secretly resent you. If you've ever felt confused why someone grew distant after you helped them, or why your kindness gets punished instead of rewarded, this changes everything. In the next 20 minutes, you'll see the hidden game everyone's playing except you. You bent over backwards for them. You gave them your time, your resources, your unwavering support. You were there at 2 in the morning when they needed someone. You defended them when others criticized. You went out of your way to make their life easier. And what did you get in return? Distance, coldness. They stopped calling. They stopped inviting you. They found excuses to avoid you. When you needed them, suddenly they were too busy. Meanwhile, you watch someone else treat them with indifference, even disrespect, and somehow that person gets admiration, loyalty, and respect. The person who does less receives more. The person who cares less gets pursued more. It makes no logical sense. Here's what they never taught you. You weren't trained wrong. Society programmed you with a beautiful lie that generosity creates gratitude, that kindness builds loyalty, that giving earns respect. You followed the rules while everyone else learned the real game. Machiavelli documented this exact pattern 500 years ago in Renaissance Italy, watching good people get destroyed while ruthless operators thrived. He discovered a psychological mechanism so counterintuitive, so uncomfortable, that most people refuse to accept it, even when it's destroying their relationships right in front of them. What you're about to learn isn't just historical observation. Modern psychology has confirmed Machiavelli's darkest insight about human nature. And once you see this pattern, you'll recognize it everywhere in your life. Machiavelli identified what modern psychologists now call the gratitude paradox, or indebtedness aversion. The principle is brutally simple. People don't hate those who harm them nearly as much as they resent those who help them. When you do someone a significant favor, you don't create an ally. You create a debtor. And debtors, according to both Machiavelli and current psychological research, harbor unconscious hostility toward their creditors. The Stanford reciprocity study in 2019 found that 68% of people reported negative feelings toward someone who had recently helped them with a major problem. Not gratitude, resentment. The researchers discovered that significant acts of generosity create what they called obligation anxiety, a psychological state where the recipient feels trapped, inferior, and powerless. This maps perfectly onto Machiavelli's observation. Men are more ready to repay an injury than a benefit, because gratitude is a burden and revenge a pleasure. Think about that for a moment. Every time you do something genuinely helpful for someone, you're not depositing goodwill into a relationship bank account. You're creating a psychological debt that makes them feel small, dependent, and uncomfortable. And the human response to feeling uncomfortable isn't gratitude. It's avoidance and hostility. Here's the framework we're going to use to completely transform how you navigate this reality. Level 1. Recognition. Understanding why generosity backfires, and how to identify when you're creating resentment instead of respect. Level 2. Protection. Specific strategies to help others without creating psychological debt, and how to recognize when someone's turning against you. Level 3. Mastery. Advanced positioning techniques that let you benefit people while maintaining power, status, and genuine appreciation. This isn't about becoming cold or manipulative. This is about understanding the hidden psychological game that's been running your entire life without your awareness. By the end of this, you'll navigate relationships with surgical precision, helping people in ways that actually create loyalty rather than resentment. Let me show you the exact psychological mechanism that turns your generosity into their resentment. When you significantly help someone, 3 things happen in their psychology simultaneously. First, identity threat. Their self-concept as capable, independent, and competent takes a direct hit. You solving their problem proves they couldn't solve it themselves. Every time they see you afterward, you're a walking reminder of their failure and dependence. You've become a monument to their inadequacy. Second, power imbalance. The relationship fundamentally shifts. You're now the capable one. They're the needy one. This creates what psychologists call Status incongruence, where the natural power hierarchy contradicts their self-perception. If they saw themselves as your equal or superior, your help repositions them as subordinate. They'll resent you for that repositioning, even though they asked for the help. Third, unpayable debt. The bigger the favor, the more impossible it feels to repay. This isn't about actual repayment, it's about psychological equilibrium. They feel permanently one down, permanently obligated, permanently trapped in owing you something they can never adequately return. Here's the counterintuitive truth Machiavelli observed. Small harms are easily forgiven because they create no debt. Major help creates crushing obligation that transforms into hostility. Real example. Sarah helped her friend Jennifer with a $3,000 loan when Jennifer was about to lose her apartment. Sarah never mentioned it again, never asked for repayment, completely let it go. Jennifer stopped returning her calls within 2 months. When mutual friends asked Jennifer why, she said Sarah was judgmental and made her feel bad about herself. Sarah had never said a critical word. But every time Jennifer saw Sarah, she felt the weight of that debt and her own financial failure. The solution? Avoid Sarah entirely. This pattern repeats endlessly. The person who helps their friend get a job becomes resented when that friend now sees them every day at work. The person who provides emotional support through a breakup gets discarded once the crisis passes. The person who mentors someone gets subtly undermined once that person gains competence. You've experienced this. Think about the last time you went significantly out of your way for someone. Did the relationship get stronger, or did it eventually cool? Be honest. Here's what you need to recognize in real time. Warning. Sign 1. After significant help, they become less available, not more. They're managing their discomfort by creating distance. Warning sign 2. They start criticizing small things about you. They're unconsciously trying to balance the psychological ledger by finding your flaws. Warning. Sign 3. They emphasize how they've helped you with trivial things. They're desperately trying to equalize the debt. And when trivial help can't match significant help, resentment intensifies. Warning. Sign 4. They tell others about your help in ways that minimize its significance, or emphasize how they would have been fine anyway. They're rewriting the narrative to protect their self-concept. The moment you recognize these patterns, you'll see them everywhere. Your parents who gave you everything and wonder why you avoid their calls. Your friend who you helped through depression, who now barely texts back. Your colleague who you covered for repeatedly and who now excludes you from social events. This isn't because humans are inherently ungrateful monsters. It's because the psychological cost of indebtedness exceeds the practical benefit of the help itself. Your generosity became their prison, and they'll do anything to escape that feeling, including cutting you out entirely. Now that you understand the mechanism, let's talk about how to protect yourself while still being a good person. Because here's what you need to understand. Machiavelli wasn't advocating cruelty, he was advocating awareness. Protection Strategy 1. The reciprocity preframe. Before providing significant help, create immediate reciprocity. Here's how it works. Instead of just solving their problem, ask for something small first. I can definitely help you with this. Actually, could you help me with something quick first? Then ask for advice, input, or a small favor. Now, when you provide major help, they've already contributed to the exchange. Psychologically, this creates peer-to-peer transaction rather than superior to inferior charity. Real language script. I'd be happy to introduce you to my contact at that company. Hey, actually, you're great with social media. Could you look at my LinkedIn profile and tell me what you think before I make that intro? I value your opinion on this stuff. God, you just transformed charity into exchange. They helped you first. Now your help is reciprocal, not superior. You've protected both their ego and your relationship. Protection. Strategy 2. The effort requirement. Never make your help effortless for them. The easier you make it, the less they value it and the more they resent it. Machiavelli observed that princes who were given kingdoms fell quickly, while those who fought for power held it fiercely. The same applies to personal help. If they invest effort, they're mentally invested in the outcome and in you. Instead of saying, I'll handle this for you, say, here's exactly what you need to do, and I'll be right there supporting you while you do it. You're shifting from doing for them, to empowering them. They maintain agency and competence while still receiving benefit. Real scenario: your friend needs help moving. Wrong approach. I'll rent the truck, get my other friends, and we'll move everything for you. Right approach. I'll come help you move. And I know two other guys who probably can too. Can you get the truck sorted and have everything packed by Saturday morning? Same outcome. Completely different psychological dynamic. They owned the project. You supported it. No resentment, no debt, no power imbalance. Protection strategy 3. The attribution redirect. When you help someone, immediately redirect attribution away from yourself. Make them believe they did it themselves, or that circumstances aligned, or that multiple people contributed equally. This sounds counterintuitive. You want recognition, right? Wrong. You want the relationship preserved and the person empowered. Recognition creates debt. Anonymous contribution creates gratitude. Language script. Honestly, you would have figured this out yourself. I just happened to know that one contact. The hard part was all you. Or, I was glad to help, but Sarah and Tom contributed just as much. It was really a team effort. You just gave them permission to feel competent despite needing help. You diffused the debt across multiple people. You eliminated the one-to-one obligation that creates resentment. Protection strategy 4. The rejection detector. Learn to recognize when someone is starting to resent your help, so you can pull back before the relationship dies. The moment you notice cooling behavior after significant help, stop helping entirely. Don't offer more support. Don't check in repeatedly. Don't try to repair the relationship through additional generosity. You'll only deepen their resentment. Instead, do something that might sound crazy. Ask them for a small favor. Hey, I know you're busy, but could you recommend a good restaurant in your neighborhood? Or, quick question, you're good at Excel, right? What formula would I use for this? This does two things. First, it gives them opportunity to repay the psychological debt with something manageable. Second, it repositions the relationship as peer-to-peer rather than superior-inferior. Watch what happens. If they enthusiastically help with the small request, the relationship can be saved. They needed a way to even the ledger. If they're distant or dismissive, even with small requests, they've already decided to manage their discomfort through permanent distance. Accept it and move on. Protection strategy 5. The power frame. When you must provide significant help, frame it as benefiting you, not them. I'd love to introduce you to my contact because I'm trying to build a reputation as a connector in this industry. You'd actually be helping me by taking that meeting. Or, teaching you this skill helps me master it. The best way to learn is to teach. So this is actually useful for me. Is this manipulation? No. You're managing the psychological frame to prevent resentment. The help is real. The benefit is real. You're just preventing the power imbalance that destroys relationships. Protection strategy 6. The strategic limitation. Sometimes the most powerful protection is refusing to help at all. If someone repeatedly asks for major help, recognize the pattern. They're testing whether you'll subordinate yourself to their needs. Each time you say yes, you're confirming your inferior position in the relationship hierarchy. The answer isn't cold rejection. It's bounded assistance. I can point you toward resources, but I'm not able to do this for you directly. Here's what I'd recommend. Watch their reaction. If they appreciate the boundary and the guidance, they're emotionally mature and worth investing in. If they act hurt or offended that you won't sacrifice yourself, they were already primed for resentment. You just saved yourself from inevitable betrayal. Here's where we separate people who understand this intellectually from those who can weaponize it for protection and power. Mastery Principle 1. The proxy benefit. The most sophisticated operators never help directly. They create situations where benefits flow to others through structural position, not personal charity. Instead of personally mentoring someone, recommend them for a program or opportunity where others will mentor them. Instead of lending money, introduce them to someone who's hiring. Instead of solving their problem, position them in an environment where the problem solves itself. Why is this masterful? Because you've provided genuine benefit while maintaining complete psychological distance from the debt. They received help from the program, the job, the environment, not from you personally. You were merely the connector, the facilitator, the person who saw their potential. This is exactly how the most powerful people operate. They don't personally rescue anyone. They position people for success and let institutional structures provide the actual help. The gratitude flows to them, but the psychological debt attaches elsewhere. Real example. Instead of teaching your friend a skill, directly creating debt and potential resentment, say, you know what? You should take this specific course I took. Here's the link. The instructor is amazing. Same outcome, they gain the skill. Completely different dynamic. You were the guide, not the savior. Mastery Principle 2. The status preservation frame. When help is unavoidable, frame it in a way that elevates the other person's status rather than diminishing it. Amateur approach. Let me help you with that, I'm good at this stuff. Master approach. Would you be willing to test my new approach to this? I need someone sharp to give me feedback on whether it actually works. See the difference? The amateur positions themselves as superior and the other person as needy. The master positions the other person as qualified evaluator and themselves as the one requesting something valuable. Same help gets exchanged. Completely different psychological positioning. The master preserves the other person's status while providing benefit. No debt, no resentment, no power imbalance. Mastery Principle 3. The manufactured struggle. The most powerful technique Machiavelli never explicitly stated, but clearly practiced. Make them work for your help in ways that feel like achievement, not charity. If someone asks for your help, the worst thing you can do is give it immediately and completely. Instead, create a graduated challenge. I'm willing to help you with this. But first, I need to see that you're serious. Do X, Y, and Z, and then I'll do my part. What you just did is genius. You're still helping, but you've created an achievement framework. When they succeed, they'll attribute success to their effort meeting your challenge, not to your charity. They earned your help through demonstrated commitment. No resentment, only pride. This is how the best mentors operate. They don't do things for you, they create challenges you must overcome to unlock their knowledge. You leave feeling empowered, not indebted. Real language. Here's what I'll do. You put together a draft version of this, showing me you've done the research and thought it through. Make it as good as you can. Then I'll review it and show you how to take it to the next level. They do work. They learn. You provide expert guidance. They feel accomplished, not dependent. The relationship strengthens rather than deteriorates. Mastery Principle 4. The power of selective distance. The true masters understand that sometimes the most valuable thing you can do for someone is refuse to help them. When you're always available, always helpful, always solving problems, you train people to see you as a resource to be used, not a person to be respected. You become functionally subordinate regardless of your actual status. Strategic distance creates value. Selective availability creates respect. Occasional refusal creates appreciation for the times you do help. Watch what happens when you're less accessible. People start valuing your time more. They come to you with more thought-out requests rather than every random problem. They appreciate your help more because it's not guaranteed. They respect your boundaries because you've demonstrated you have them. This isn't about being cold. It's about training people to treat you as valuable rather than available. Mastery Principle 5. The ultimate frame, mutual elevation. Here's the highest level of this game. Create relationships where both parties are simultaneously helping each other in ways that matter to them. You're not keeping score. You're not calculating reciprocity. You're building genuine partnerships where value flows both directions naturally, where both people feel empowered rather than indebted. The way to achieve this is simple but profound. Only build deep relationships with people who have something valuable to offer you. Not money, not status, but perspective, skills, knowledge, connections, or qualities you genuinely admire. When you help them, you're investing in someone whose future success benefits you. When they help you, they're investing in someone whose growth benefits them. Mutual investment replaces psychological debt. Partnership replaces hierarchy. This is why the most powerful people carefully select who they help. They're not cold, they're strategic. They invest deeply in people who can create mutual elevation rather than one-way dependency. Ask yourself, are you helping people who inspire you, challenge you, and have potential to elevate you? Or are you helping anyone who asks, creating relationships built on your subordination to their needs? The first path leads to powerful partnerships. The second path leads to resentment and exploitation. Let's make this concrete. Here are 3 scenarios showing exactly how to apply these principles. Scenario 1. The workplace request. Your colleague asks you to help them with a major project that's outside their skill set but well within yours. They're struggling, the deadline is approaching, and your help would save them. Old you response. Of course. Let me take a look at this. Actually, why don't I just handle this section for you? I can probably do it faster anyway, and I know you're swamped. Result. You do their work, they take credit. 2 months later, they're cool toward you at office social events. They've unconsciously branded you as the person they needed rescuing from, and they resent that feeling. New you response. I'd be happy to help you think through this. Here's what I need from you first. Put together your best attempt at a structure and outline your approach. Don't worry about it being perfect. I just need to see your thinking. Once you've got that, let's grab coffee, and I'll show you some frameworks that might help. Also, you're great at client presentations. Could you give me feedback on my deck for next week's meeting? Result. They do the work with your guidance. They learn actual skills. You get valuable feedback. The relationship becomes peer-to-peer collaboration rather than superior subordinate rescue. They feel competent. You're respected, not resented. Scenario 2. The friend in crisis. Your friend is going through a brutal breakup. They're calling you daily, sometimes multiple times per day. They're barely functional. They need support. Old you response. You're available 24/7. You drop everything when they call. You let them vent for hours. You cancel your plans to be there for them. You give advice, encouragement, and constant emotional support. You're the perfect friend. Result. They recover. They start dating someone new. They gradually stop calling. When you reach out, they're busy. You feel used. They feel guilty seeing you because you're a reminder of their lowest point and their dependency on you. The friendship dies slowly. New you response. I care about you, and I'm here to support you through this. Here's what I can do. I'm available for calls between 7-9 p.m. on weekdays, and we can grab dinner or hang out on weekends. Outside those times, I need to maintain my own boundaries. I also want you to commit to one small thing each day that's moving you forward. Gym, therapy, calling one friend who isn't me, whatever. I'll check in on that. And actually, I need your help with something. Can you help me think through this situation I'm dealing with at work? Result. You're supportive but bounded. They're forced to develop multiple support sources, not dependency on you. You maintain your life. The crisis assistance feels less like charity and more like friendship. When they recover, you're associated with empowerment, not rock-bottom helplessness. The friendship deepens. Scenario 3. The ambitious request. Someone in your network asks you for an introduction to an important contact, someone who could significantly advance their career. Old you response. Sure, I'll email both of you right now and make the connection. Result. You've just spent social capital for free. If the meeting goes well, they credit their own preparation and charm. If it goes poorly, they blame your introduction. Either way, you've created a psychological dynamic where you were merely a stepping stone in their success journey. If they succeed, you become part of their past. They've moved beyond. New you response. I'm potentially open to making that introduction. Tell me more about why you want to meet them and what you'd bring to the conversation. Put together a one-page brief on your background and what you're working on. If it's strong, I'll make the intro. And here's the thing. If I introduce you, you represent me. So I need to know you'll show up prepared and professional. Can you commit to that? Result. They're invested through the requirement. If you make the introduction, they're grateful for the opportunity you gated. If the meeting succeeds, they know it's partially because you vouched for them. Your status is elevated, not depleted. If they succeed long-term, you're remembered as the person who saw their potential when they had to prove themselves, not the person who handed them unearned access. Notice the pattern across all 3 scenarios. The new approach involves setting boundaries that preserve your value, requiring effort that maintains their dignity, creating peer-to-peer exchange rather than superior-inferior charity, protecting both yourself and them from the psychological debt trap. This isn't manipulation. This is sophisticated relationship management that protects both parties from the resentment dynamic Machiavelli identified 5 centuries ago. Before we close, we need to address something critical. What you've just learned is powerful. It's the kind of knowledge that separates people who get used from people who build genuine respect and lasting relationships. But here's what I need you to understand. This knowledge can be weaponized in ways that hurt people. You could use these principles to manipulate others, to maintain power over them, to create relationships where you're always positioned superior and they're always positioned inferior. That's not what this is for. Machiavelli has a reputation as a teacher of cruelty because people read The Prince and see only the ruthless tactics. But Machiavelli's actual point was about clear-eyed reality. He was trying to help good people survive in a world where bad people had figured out these dynamics instinctively. The manipulators already know this stuff. The narcissists, the users, the exploiters, they've been operating on these principles their entire lives without needing to study them. They intuitively understood that appearing slightly unavailable creates attraction, that requiring effort maintains respect, that framing things as exchange rather than charity prevents resentment. What you've learned today levels the playing field. It protects you from people who would exploit your generosity and turn your kindness into your weakness. But it also comes with responsibility. Use these principles to protect yourself, yes. Use them to build healthier relationships where both parties feel empowered. Use them to help people in ways that actually honor their dignity rather than crushing it with obligation. Don't use these principles to withhold help from people genuinely struggling just to maintain power over them. Don't use them to create artificial scarcity of your kindness just to seem more valuable. Don't use them to keep people below you in some imaginary hierarchy. The difference between protection and manipulation is intent. Are you using these tools to preserve mutual respect and genuine relationship, or are you using them to control and dominate others? You're now part of a very small percentage of people who consciously understand these dynamics. Most people will go their entire lives unconsciously, creating resentment through misguided generosity or unconsciously being exploited because they never learned to protect their value. You now see the hidden game. The question is, what kind of player will you be? You're not the same person you were 20 minutes ago. You can't be. You've seen behind the curtain of social dynamics that most people never consciously recognize. From this moment forward, every interaction will be different. When someone asks for help, you won't automatically say yes. You'll pause and think about the psychological dynamics you're creating. When someone grows distant after you've helped them, you won't be confused anymore. You'll recognize exactly what happened and why. You'll notice people around you falling into the same trap you used to fall into, being endlessly helpful, and wondering why it doesn't create loyalty. You'll watch them give and give and give, creating resentment in the very people they're trying to help. And you'll know better. You'll help people in ways that empower them rather than diminish them. You'll set boundaries that create respect rather than resentment. You'll build relationships based on mutual elevation rather than one-way dependency. The hidden game Machiavelli identified is running constantly all around you. People are unconsciously managing power dynamics, status hierarchies, and psychological debt in every interaction. The difference is that now you see it clearly. Most people spend their entire lives as unconscious players in this game, bouncing from relationship to relationship, confused why their generosity gets punished, wondering why some people seem to effortlessly command respect while they struggle for basic appreciation. Not you. Not anymore. You understand that respect isn't earned through endless availability. It's earned through selective generosity combined with clear boundaries. You understand that loyalty isn't created through one-way help. It's created through relationships, where both parties feel strong, capable, and mutually beneficial. You understand Machiavelli's most uncomfortable truth. People don't secretly hate you because you're a bad person. They secretly resent you because you made them feel like a weak person by helping them the wrong way. Now you know how to help the right way. In our next video, we're going deeper into Machiavellian psychology with something even more counterintuitive. Why the people who trust you most are the easiest to control, and how to recognize when someone's using your trust against you. It's disturbing content, but if today's video resonated, you're ready for it. Remember, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Machiavelli. Apsi re. Next of size. Con su Machiavelli. The question is, what are you going to appear to be now that you know how to control that appearance? Thanks for watching. You're now part of a very small group who sees clearly. Use this knowledge wisely.